What does it take for a man to prove his worth when the world has already judged him by the color of his skin? On a sun-scorched highway cutting through the Arizona desert, Marcus Kane rode his Harley, the rumble of the engine a steady pulse beneath him. His leather jacket clung to his broad shoulders, the American flag patch on his sleeve faded but proud. At 42, Marcus was a man of quiet strength, a retired Army veteran who had served 2 tours in Iraq, leading men through fire and chaos. Now he sought peace in the open road, riding with a group of fellow veterans, his brothers in arms, a diverse band of 50 soldiers who shared his love for freedom and the wind in their faces. But today, peace would be hard-won. The highway stretched endlessly before him, a ribbon of asphalt shimmering under the midday sun. Marcus rode at the head of the pack, his dark skin glistening with sweat, his eyes scanning the horizon. Behind him, the roar of dozens of motorcycles filled the air, a symphony of power and unity. They were headed to a veterans' rally in Phoenix, a chance to honor their fallen comrades and celebrate the bonds forged in battle. Marcus felt a flicker of pride leading this group, men and women of all backgrounds, was a reminder that loyalty transcended color. But the world, he knew, wasn't always so kind. He saw the flashing lights in his rearview mirror before he heard the siren. A police cruiser, its red and blue lights cutting through the haze, pulled up behind the group. Marcus's stomach tightened. He'd been here before too many times. The others slowed, their bikes fanning out, but Marcus signaled for them to hold back. He'd handle this. He always did. Pulling over to the shoulder, he killed the engine and planted his boots on the ground, his posture calm but alert. The cruiser stopped, and 2 officers stepped out, both white, both young, their faces hard with suspicion. License and registration. The taller officer, a man with a buzz cut and a badge reading Officer Daniels, barked without preamble. His partner, Officer Reed, stood a step behind, hand resting on his holster. Marcus met their eyes, his expression steady. He'd learned long ago to keep his movements slow, his voice even. Any hint of defiance could escalate things fast. "Yes, sir," Marcus said, reaching for his wallet. He handed over his driver's license and the bike's registration, his military ID tucked beneath for good measure. Daniels snatched the documents, glancing at them with a sneer. "You know why we pulled you over?" Daniels asked, his tone dripping with accusation. "No, sir," Marcus replied, though he had a good guess. He'd been riding the speed limit, his bike in perfect condition. This wasn't about traffic violations. "You were weaving back there," Reed chimed in, his eyes narrowing. "Look suspicious. Where you headed?" "Phoenix," Marcus said. "Veterans rally. My group's behind me." Daniel smirked, glancing at the line of motorcycles idling 100 yards back. "Your group, huh? You the leader of this gang?" Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice calm. "Not a gang, sir. Veterans. We served together." Reed snorted. "Served, huh? You don't look like no veteran to me." His gaze lingered on Marcus's skin, the unspoken judgment hanging heavy in the air. Marcus felt the familiar sting, the weight of being reduced to a stereotype. He'd faced insurgents in war zones, carried wounded soldiers to safety, earned medals for valor, but to these officers, he was just a black man on a bike, a threat by default. "Mind stepping off the bike?" Daniels said, more command than a question. "We need to check you for weapons." Marcus complied, moving deliberately. He knew the drill, hands visible, no sudden moves. As he stepped off, he caught the glint of malice in Daniels' eyes. This wasn't about safety, it was about power. Reed began patting him down, rougher than necessary, while Daniels tossed Marcus's license onto the ground like it was trash. "Oops," Daniels said, smirking. "Pick that up, boy." The word hit like a slap. Marcus froze, his heart pounding. He'd heard it before, in different voices, different places, but it never lost its venom. Behind him, he heard the low growl of engines as his group edged closer, sensing trouble. He raised a hand, signaling them to stay put. He could handle this. He had to. "I'm not your boy," Marcus said quietly, bending to retrieve his license. "I'm a veteran. Served my country. Same as you." Daniels laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. "You? A veteran? What did you do, clean the barracks?" Before Marcus could respond, a new sound cut through the tension, the deep, collective roar of 50 motorcycles rolling forward. The officers froze, their bravado faltering as the group approached. Leading the pack was Sarah, a wiry Latina with a shaved head and a silver star for bravery. Behind her rode Jamal, a black former Marine with a prosthetic leg, Emily, a white medic who'd saved countless lives, and Raj, an Indian-American sniper with a quiet intensity. They were a tapestry of America, black, white, brown, men, women, all bound by service and sacrifice. Sarah pulled up beside Marcus, her bike's engine idling. "Everything okay here, Marcus?" she asked, her voice calm but edged with steel. The others fanned out, their presence a silent challenge. The officers' hands twitched toward their holsters, but they hesitated. 50 pairs of eyes stared them down, unflinching. "He's fine," Daniel said, his voice less certain now. "Just a routine stop." "Routine, huh?" Jamal called out, his deep voice carrying over the engines. "Looks like harassment to me." Marcus held up a hand, silencing his group. He turned to Daniels, his voice steady but firm. "You asked if I'm a veteran. I served 20 years. 2 tours in Iraq. Led men into combat. Took shrapnel to save one of them." He gestured to the group. "These are my brothers and sisters. We fought for this country. For you. So tell me, Officer, what's this really about?" The question hung in the air, heavy with truth. Reed shifted uncomfortably, his earlier bravado gone. Daniel's face reddened, but he had no answer. The silence stretched, broken only by the hum of engines and the distant cry of a hawk. Sarah dismounted, her boots crunching on the gravel. She pulled a folded flag from her saddlebag, same flag that had draped her brother's casket after he fell in Afghanistan. She held it out, not to the officers, but to Marcus. "This is who we are," she said. "This is what we fight for." One by one, the others dismounted, forming a semicircle around Marcus and the officers. They didn't speak, didn't threaten, just stood, a living testament to sacrifice and unity. Emily, the medic, stepped forward, her voice soft but piercing. "You see a black man on a bike and assume the worst. But you don't see him. You don't see us." Daniel's smirk was gone, replaced by a flicker of shame. Reed looked away, unable to meet their eyes. The weight of 50 soldiers, 50 stories of courage, loss, and resilience pressed down on them. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low but unwavering. "We're not your enemies. We're your neighbors, your protectors. Judge us by our actions, not your fears." For a moment, no one moved. Then Daniels handed back Marcus's license, his hand trembling slightly. "Get going," he muttered, "and stay safe." Marcus nodded, tucking the license into his wallet. He mounted his bike, the others falling in behind him. As they roared back onto the highway, the officers stood frozen, watching the dust settle. Marcus didn't look back. He didn't need to. The road stretched ahead, and his brothers and sisters rode with him, their unity a shield against the world's prejudice. The rally in Phoenix was a blur of speeches, laughter, and shared memories. But for Marcus, the real victory was on that highway, a moment when courage and truth outshone hatred. He knew the fight wasn't over. There would be other stops, other judgments. But he also knew he wasn't alone. Behind him rode 50 soldiers, a family forged not by blood but by honor. And that was enough. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.